Welcome back, guys. It's Captain Foley, and I'm going to do a review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Man, that thing's uncomfortable to wear. It's about as uncomfortable to wear as this thing is to watch half the time. Anyway, guys, with a really great Star Wars movie coming out tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday the 17th. I get to see it early, so I thought I'd do a review of this movie. I've been promising this for a while. I've done the first trilogy already, so check those reviews out. But let's get right to it, okay? And just to recap, in case you couldn't hear me under that mask, we're doing Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace today. Like I said, I'm going to go see the new one tomorrow. From what I've heard, it's amazingly good. So I'm looking forward to that. But it has to be done, my friends. And who's the one that's here for you guys to do it for you? Captain Foley. Damn, that's an uncomfortable mask. A good start so far. Another great thing so far. This is amazing so far. What's next? A title scroll? Hopefully, because that would be awesome too. My God, Episode 1, Phantom Menace. I'm so excited. Let's read it, shall we? Taxation, already. Trade routes. Systems in dispute. This sounds so exciting. I remember being excited for this and seeing this and going, what the hell? I mean, the first time I thought the Congress, the Chancellor, Supreme Chancellor. Why? Why, George? Why? I remember seeing this the first time, like I said, and I was so excited, that, that there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. It's going to be awesome. It's going to fill in the missing years. And George, I don't know what you're doing. So yeah. Anyway, this opening was alright because it's the typical Star Wars opening. You got the good music, you got the Star Wars, you got the scrolling text, you got the pan down, you're gonna see a spaceship in a second. It was exciting. It's like, yes, this is Star Wars, it's back. No, not so much. Once again, seeing two Jedi Knights, seeing a protocol droid. It was just like, this is coming together so beautifully. That's clearly, I think, a female protocol droid. It's got a female voice. But do they have genders to the droids? Do they? I don't know. Maybe is BB-8... Maybe BB-8 is going to be a girl. Who knows? And what's with the little rat tail? That's one thing that bugs me about the Jedi, is that the rat tail and the little braid thing, like... This isn't the 80s, and we don't live in, like, the backwoods. Stop it. And I just noticed this time viewing it, and you're never going to look at the same way again, but she's holding a very phallic-y silver, same color as her vial on that tray. What was she doing with that in there the whole time? Anyway, this is awesome as usual to see Jedi's just kicking ass. This movie had so much promise, but I recently, the other night, watched a documentary which came up before this about the mythos of Star Trek. It was right before Star Trek, I said that. The mythos of Star Wars with George Lucas before this came out, which they hadn't, like I said, it was before this came out, so they assumed it was going to be a good movie. And I'm just like, shaking my head going, you guys don't even know. Don't even know. Another thing here too, why did they only send 2 destroyer droids to deal with them? Why not send like a squadron of like, I don't know how many are in a squadron in that situation. Like, send a dozen at least. Why just 2 to fight off 2 Jedi? That just makes no sense. This is a big ass ship with a forest. Where does it land exactly? Then all of a sudden there's a nice clear spot. Ah yes, it begins. I didn't actually have such an issue with Jar Jar at first. I didn't understand all the hate, but I get it now. I get you guys are irritated by him. But the whole calling it a racial stereotype, even the Viceroy and whatnot, up on the Trade Federation vessels, I don't really see them as stereotypes. I mean, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason, because they're generally true. So, I know in the 50s and 60s, they were incorporated into a lot of media, and they were funny. You know, everybody takes offense to everything these days. I think this is quite amusing, his voice. It gets irritating, don't get me wrong. I'm not condoning Jar Jar at all. I just think that people take things a little bit too far and a little bit too much up in arms about things, and we need to relax, okay? A lot of the old Looney Tunes cartoons and stuff, they have a lot of stereotypical stuff in them, and to be perfectly honest, it's amusing because it's true. It's funny because it's true. I don't mean to sound like I'm gonna piss off a few people saying that probably, but I apologize. I don't mean it in a mean way. I'm just saying they've been used for years and decades to create comedy because they are true that there are stereotypes like that. So this is amusing to me. The first couple times I watched it, I thought he was annoying but amusing. But yeah, the more I watch it, the more I'm just like, boy. And now that I have heard this theory that he's a Sith master and using like drunken kung fu or whatever, I kind of have a new appreciation for this movie. When I watch it, I'm like, what if? And it makes it a little more interesting. I don't know what you guys think about that. Leave your comments below. Trust me, I'm not racist at all. And I don't mean anything by those racial stereotypes. It's just they're put in shows from the 50s and 60s and whatnot for a reason. It's because they're funny. But today everybody's so easily offended by everything that we can't even enjoy something. So you're looking too much into it, is what I think. And some of the environments that George has created for this movie are quite nice to look at. I know it's too much green screen, it's too much CGI, absolutely. But some of the environments that he created are very spot on, like very otherworldly, something you want to see in a sci-fi movie. So, got to give him a little bit credit for that. The speediest way to go to the Naboo is to go through the planet core. Is the planet core not molten like most planets? Also, they call them, the Gungans call them the Naboo. Now, isn't Naboo the name of the planet? So aren't they all Naboo? Or Nabooese?
I saved his life. He owes me what you call a life debt. Your God's demand.
He owes me what you call a life debt. Your God's demand. You didn't even know about this species until you showed up here. Unless, I mean, I just thought that now, but I gotta jump in and say maybe they did know about the whatever they're called, Jar Jar's people, the Gungans. Maybe they did know about them prior to showing up for the negotiations, and they did the research just in case. But I mean, seriously, it just seems kind of odd that he's like, well, you know, I saved his life, he owes me a life debt. You know, you people, that's what you believe, so let's do it up. Like, these two guys are supposed to be like the Chinese or Japanese stereotypes that I've heard so much about. I don't really see it. You can kind of hear it in their voices a little bit, but I don't know why people get so up in arms about this kind of stuff. It's a fictional universe. Why apply our labels to it? I don't know, it's just one of my pet peeves that all I hear these days is that's racist, or, you know, that's insensitive, whatever. It really grinds my gears, as Peter Griffin would say. So I just gotta bring it up. I don't think they're racial stereotypes at all. I think they're just funny. Even Watto, that we're gonna see later, that one is more of a racial stereotype. I kind of get that one, but at the same time, who cares? And funny thing here, see how our dress lights up? If you actually look over here, you can see the power cord that lights those up. It goes up underneath the pillar. They could have done a better job of hiding it. I kind of get that it looks like a crack in the stone. But really, guys, our first introduction to R2-D2, my favorite character. Absolutely love R2. And here, of course, we get to see what an astromech droid is supposed to do. They're onboard starships to service the ship and make jump calculations. So, the navigation aspect of it, and mech as a mechanic. So, it's cool to see them out and about doing their thing. It's kind of cool that R2 survives this. But it is neat to see what an astromech droid is out there to do and why they were created. Because we never really see that in the original. We do see them as the navigation part, as far as being plugged into the X-Wings. But very cool to see. Love R2. Interesting thing I've always wondered too with the holograms, if the Chancellor there, the Emperor or whatever, is watching, does he see two holograms sitting across each other at a table, or how does that work exactly? And now, this part just slays me. First of all, this thing is like a wiffle ball launcher game thing that we used to have as kids, painted silver. But anyway, Anakin Skywalker did not build C-3PO. I had a screensaver back in the 80s or early 90s, I guess. It was a Star Wars screensaver. It had Star Wars schematics and different scenes, and it had character bios. Turns out C-3PO is like 150 years old. He's been in the service of many different people as far as being a protocol droid. Some slave on Tatooine did not build C-3PO. I'm sorry. That's one thing that really pisses me off about this prequel. R2-D2 is also like 200 years old, but that hasn't really been changed in this one, so that's fine. That's fine. But these two, the story of the droids is just, it's much more interesting in the original bios that I had on that screensaver. I wish I still had this. I still have the discs somewhere, but I can't. They don't work on my modern computer, which really annoys me. So maybe I can find them. If anybody out there knows what I'm talking about, please put it in the comments below. But yes, they're actually much older than that, and there's no way that Anakin built C-3PO. That was just stupid. That was just a dumb tie-in, and I hate it. And these controllers, these little communicators, you've probably heard this before, but they're actually women's Venus Gillette razors that they used as the props for that, just modified a little. So I guess their whole budget went into CGI. And I'm just going to talk over this part because this is the stupid midichlorian part, and nobody gives a shit about midichlorians. It was a dumb addition. Thank you very much, George. Anyway, right before this, there was a scene with Jar Jar Binks where he got his tongue went numb because he hit the energy binders. And I'm going to add to the Jar Jar being a Sith theory and mythos. C-3PO points out on 2 occasions that he's very strange, something odd about him, and then R2, after Jar Jar gets his hand stuck and Padme helps him get it out, R2 beeps and C-3PO says, yes, there's something very strange about him indeed. So it's almost like foreshadowing, and if the Sith theory was correct and George was going to reveal him as the actual Phantom Menace in one of the feature movies, if it wasn't for popular opinion, which changed his mind. It's interesting that the droids are the ones that kind of saw that and foreshadowed that. So, just something I want to point out. I haven't heard that before in any of the other theories, but I wanted to add that, my own little nugget to that whole Jar Jar is a Sith theory. So, there you have it, guys. I hope that makes sense. Pretty sure it does, because it's me. A chance cube. I thought the Jedis were all good and followed the rules, and so I'm pretty sure that's cheating. I realized that Watto was going to cheat, and that's probably a weighted dice, and blah 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 blah. But still, that's cheating. I wish I had force powers. Oh, the things I could do. And the way that C-3PO walks, I know they had him the armature attached to the front of Anthony Daniels for this, which it looks odd, and it's like they could have done a much better job with that. They should have CGI'd C-3PO, I think, because the practical effect of him walking like that looks very awkward and very... I don't know if you guys see that too, but every time I see C-3PO in this movie, I want to scream for multiple reasons. And the first example of the Slave Leia outfit. Prequel Slave Leia outfit, everyone. So they're all on the starting grid. They get the green light, and Anakin stalls out. Now, he stalls out for probably a good 15, at least, maybe 20 seconds. And with the speed that those other racers are going, the chance of him catching up, I think, is non-existent, because look how far ahead they are already. And it's not like really like a NASCAR race where there's pit stops and stuff. Because if there was that, I could maybe understand a little bit better that he catches up. But no. I've played the pod racing game. You can't catch up if you wait that long. Trust me. Because he just blows by everybody at the back of the race, and he's already like right behind Sebulba, basically. So second place. This pod racer must be super fast. I don't buy it. Okay, I digress. There is pit stops because we have pit droids. This guy just pulled in for a pit stop. So I apologize. Like I said, haven't watched this one quite as much as any of the other ones. I apologize. I am not perfect. But it still doesn't negate my point that the first pit stop happened after the first lap, and he's already caught up in the course of that first lap. So it doesn't change my point per se. And I just witnessed the Tusken Raiders shooting at the pod race for the second time. I gotta say real quick, Tusken Raiders are assholes. So yay, he wins. Now, quick fact, I don't know if you guys knew, this guy, the little Greedo guy, that's Warwick Davis, same guy that plays Wicket. You're also going to see him again, but not in costume. He's got another role in this as well. Just 1 second. Trust me. So there he is in a little Greedo costume. I don't know if that's a baby or a young Greedo. Maybe it is. I don't know. Somebody out there knows. But that's him right there as well. So Warwick Davis is in this one as well, and just worth pointing out, I don't know if you guys knew that, just an interesting fact that Captain Foley likes to bring you, if I know them.
Hi. You're a Jedi too? Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm going to kill you someday. Not the best first meeting for those two, but not too bad. I can't really complain about that so much. I love the robot legs. I want a wheelchair like that when I get older. I want a robot leg wheelchair. Or leg chair, I guess. Dear Lord, what is this thing? It's not Yoda. That thing is hideous as hell. I realize they go back and fix them with the CGI one after this, in a different copy of this movie. This is just hideous. It looks like Yoda's a boxer and he's just finished like 15 rounds or something. I don't know. His face all puffy and disgusting looking. Doesn't look at all like Yoda. The one in the Yoda in the next two movies looks amazing because it's CGI, and it's actually a very good job. But this puppet is just god awful.
From the sovereign system of Naboo.
Supreme Chancellor, delegates of the Senate. A tragedy has occurred. It started right here with the taxation of trade routes.
It's worse than watching C-SPAN. Seriously, come on, guys.
Of the Trade Federation.
This is outrageous. I object to the senator's statements. The chair does not recognize the senator from the trade. Fear is the path to the darkness.
This guy's creepy.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
And you know, the Jedi Council are kind of assholes. He misses his mom. It's totally understandable. He's never been without her. He just got here. Yeah, he misses his mom, and they're all on him like, whoa, well, you shouldn't be missing your mom. Ever get the feeling that the Jedi are just assholes? You can't get married, you can't have relationships, you can't do anything. Seriously? Seriously? So it just kind of hit me that Qui-Gon is a lot like Morpheus from The Matrix. He really believes in the one, Neo here, and he's willing to risk a lot to follow his convictions. Interesting. So interesting fact here. You see R2 over on the ledge there? In a deleted scene, he's supposed to fall off. And it's the first instance we get of him using his rockets to come back. Because he's looking over the edge, falls over, and uses his rockets. Now, the question arises, why doesn't he use his rockets at all in the original trilogy, 4, 5, and 6? And a lot of people bring that up. Now, my thinking on that, my thoughts on that are basically this. Technology gets worn out, it gets aged. So assuming, you know, that he uses it again in number 3 for sure. I don't know if he uses it in 2. We'll have to watch it. But anyway, it could be that the boosters just aren't working properly when it comes to 4, 5, and 6, because it has been quite a while. So who knows? Who's to say? But interesting scene. I would have liked to have seen it. I've seen him fall off in the bloopers and stuff. But from what I've heard, there was supposed to be a deleted scene where he falls off and uses rockets to come back up. So again, here with the ship landing in obvious forest. There was no clearing there at all.
Do you think the Queen's idea will work?
I never realized it till just now. I had to pause it. This here that she's holding, which is supposed to be a gun, is a barbecue lighter. I shit you not. They did no modification to it at all. Even the handle is still... It's just a barbecue lighter with like a resin handle attached to it. Really? Wow. And I've always noticed a fundamental problem here. When R2 gets sucked up into the thing, if you notice, the width of the Naboo starfighter would not accommodate his legs. Even if he was turned sideways, there's nowhere for R2's legs to be. Which makes me wonder, does the body get pulled up into the craft and then the head detaches from the body and gets stuck through the hole? Because the way they design that is piss poor at best. Look, nowhere for his legs to be. None. They're not that much lower than his head. And the way that thing is contoured, it just doesn't work. I mean, think about it. Take a look at a Naboo starfighter. Look it up on Google right now. Look at a toy that you have. Something. There's no way that R2-D2 could fit in that. Even if he was sideways, it wouldn't work. So his body must be disconnected from his head somehow. That's my thinking. What do you guys think about that? Comments below. I do have to admit, this is one of the coolest ways to deploy troops, especially robotic troops. It's very awesome because it sets them up already in formation, and it just is so cool for transportation and stuff. Awesome idea. Honestly, Darth Maul is one of the cooler Star Wars villains. They should not have killed him in this movie. spoilers. I don't know if you know that he dies, but we're going to get to that in just a second. But honestly, I thought he was a cool villain. I would have liked to see more of him. I know in the Clone Wars we do see more of him. Even though he gets cut in half, he actually gets robotic lower feet like General Grievous's, which is awesome. And I think they should have done that. If they had cut him in half in the first movie like they did, they should have brought him back in the second one with those robotic legs. To have a new villain kind of shoehorned in the form of Count Dooku and whatnot just doesn't work for me. They should have maintained the Darth Maul. He's a much more interesting character and much more dynamic than Dooku. Now, it's said that Dooku was shoehorned in to replace Jar Jar Binks, who was supposed to be the Phantom Menace. He was supposed to be the Sith one that was controlling everything behind the scenes, which you can kind of see and get clues of in this movie. So it's a possibility, but I don't know 100%. And again, look at where R2 is. There's no way that R2 could fit in that Naboo starfighter. I'm sorry. Think about it. Actually, sit down, look at an astromech droid, look at a Naboo starfighter, and think about it. And how convenient is it that in the Naboo starfighter there's a child-sized helmet? It's not too big on him, it's not loose-fitting, which would be kind of neat. It would add more realism to the scene, but it's perfectly fit, perfectly snug, child-sized helmet. It's one of the best lightsaber duels in any Star Wars movie. The double-bladed lightsaber is very cool and interesting, and the 2-on-1 aspect is just amazing to watch. So bravo on the lightsaber battle, George. But I don't think Qui-Gon Jinn should have died, and I don't think Darth Maul should have died. Just silliness, if you ask me. Here we go with the crazy Jar Jar drunk kung fu fighting style that actually is very effective. He manages to kill quite a few robots here just by using the drunken fighting style. So, who knows? Could be a Sith. And what, might I ask, are these complicated Galaxy Quest chomper type unnecessary things? They are what we call a plot device. Annoying. Who wrote this episode? Seriously. The chompers. You know, in A New Hope, Ben Kenobi says there's no such thing as luck. This kid got pretty freaking lucky at this part. To not get shot down when he's in autopilot going up to the ship, to be able to survive that battle, to be able to get into this hangar, to be able to get out of this hangar and destroy the droid control ship. In your experience, there's no such thing as luck, Ben Kenobi, really? I think luck plays a pretty important role, unless you chalk it up to force power, which brings up another conspiracy theory for Star Wars, the fact that Han Solo, in fact, could use the Force. He was lucky on numerous occasions, and it's been theorized that he could actually harness the Force somewhat and use it as kind of a luck measure, especially the asteroid field, because the odds of that were ridiculously high. All the things that he survives indicates luck. This, really? Anyway, not happy with this whole thing. Darth Maul should not have died. It's an epic fight scene, but no. I think he should have survived, and Ben should have been on a journey in the next 2 movies to make sure that he dies, and actually make at the end, number 3, actually kill him in place of General Grievous, perhaps. Just a thought. So, what happens to having the high ground? Because in Star Wars Episode 3, we all know that, don't even try it, Anakin, I have the high ground. So we'll talk about that high ground thing in just 1 second. You're telling me that this part of the movie is not pure luck. Oops, he didn't even plan to do this kind of stuff. So, there's no such thing as luck, really? Really? Maybe there's not. Maybe it is just the Force. But in that case, you got to consider the fact that maybe you're more than just Jedis can harness the Force somewhat.
We didn't hit it. We didn't hit it.
Now this is pod racing.
No, it isn't. Then, of course, he hit the main reactor when he launched the torpedo, so the whole droid ship explodes. Kind of a major design flaw in the Star Wars universe. Everything seems to be able to explode if you hit the right spot. There's no redundancies, no backups. I don't know. It just seems kind of strange. Anyway, back to my high ground thing. Darth Maul obviously has the high ground. Obi-Wan technically shouldn't survive this, as Darth Maul obviously has more skill and is a little bit better trained, I believe. So I don't know if I quite buy that. And there goes both his halves down the chute. I think that was a big mistake. And of course I survived just long enough so that I can talk to you. Wonder how fast I can teach you how to become a Force Ghost. Because apparently Qui-Gon Jinn's one of the first ones to actually train to use the Force Ghost powers, yet we never really see him again. He should have showed up at the end of Return of the Jedi, don't you think? Anyway.
There's no doubt the mysterious warrior was a Sith. Always two there are. No more, no less.
Always two Sith there are, no more, no less. They don't seem like that much of a threat then. There can't be a Sith army then, can there? Anyway, we got the closing ceremony. So, to wrap it all up, guys, upon rewatching this movie, it doesn't really deserve quite the bad rap that it gets from a lot of people. You hear it bashed all the time, and I understand it, I really do, especially if you only watched it a few times. But the more you watch it, the more you can appreciate all the subtleties in it. And I think George Lucas did a good job in his own mind that this was going to be a good movie. I feel bad for the guy because the criticism of this really jaded him against Star Wars and the fans, and I don't like that. However, I think this movie is not quite as bad as everybody says it is. I encourage you to watch it again and try to get a fresh perspective on it. It does kind of shadow the Star Wars storytelling style. I have faith in JJ that when I see Force Awakens tomorrow, it's going to be amazing because I said that since day one. Not a big JJ fan, but he's a fan of Star Wars and he's going to do it proud. So I thought I'd review the worst Star Wars movie right before I see what might likely be one of the best. So there you have it, guys. That's Captain Foley's review of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing the other two, hopefully soon. I don't know. I've been pretty busy, and that's why I didn't get these out. I wanted to get them all out before The Force Awakens shows up. But I'm also probably going to be doing a Captain's Log supplemental where I kind of talk about The Force Awakens. It'll probably contain spoilers, so if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. It'll say in the title, spoilers. So watch it after you've watched the movie. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, though. I might want to see it a few times in theaters before I do that. But there you have it, guys. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you all very soon. This is Captain Foley signing off. Until next time, bye, everybody. May the Force be with you.